Another early start to the day here in Fort Myers. Red Sox workouts continuing as we march towards the first weekend of Grapefruit League play. Baseball is back. The games are right around the corner. All of this leading up to the 2026 season. And we continue to bring you coverage of the spring training workouts. We're live here on 310 to Left, presented by your New England Ford dealers in F-Series, America's best-selling truck for 49 years and the official truck of the Boston Red Sox. Tom Caron along with Lou Merloni out on the fields where the work is going on behind us, the infield work, which is going to be something we spend a lot of time focusing on. We're going to talk about that today. But it's also one of those days on the spring training calendar, photo day. Yeah. It doesn't sound like a big deal, but you get to wear your home whites. Some of these guys are wearing their home whites for the first time.
Yeah, especially some of the new guys, right? You put that uniform on, you kind of look in the mirror, and it kind of catches you. I remember, my first big league camp, I got to put that uniform on. It didn't say Paw Sox in front of it, so you sort of catch yourself in the mirror before you start doing the photo days, right? So it's a nice day, but after a while, okay, let's get through this and get back on the field.
And this is group so different from the old days. Like, they were all here in time for photos. You have to Photoshop Pedro Martinez, right, and you have to go find Manny Ramirez, drag him out for photo day. Like, these are all young guys getting out there early.
Manny's grandfather passing away for the third time, or the fourth time.
So he's got to miss photo days. Yeah, you got a few All-Star games he missed, a few photo days he missed. No doubt, the energy around this camp, it's been interesting. And we say that every year to an extent, but there really is like a vibe. We talked about it with Jarren Duran yesterday. You'll hear that in a little bit. A lot of baseball rats. You add Durbin into the mix. You add IKF into the mix. We had Ref Snyder last year. You lost him. You replaced him with some of those guys. The young guys like Meyer and Anthony. These are Narvaez now finding his footing in his second year with this organization. This is a little bit of an old school group. You see them hanging around talking baseball after. They're not all grabbing the golf clubs and heading
out.
I
kind of like it. A little dirt dog look to it, right? Especially the kid Durbin that you brought in here. And Wilson Contreras is another one. So a former catcher, kind of thinks the ball game. He's over there at first base and just the knowledge of the game. But yeah, a lot of these guys getting after it. Now, a lot of the young guys, we talk about, we're going to eventually stop talking about Alex Bregman, but, they learned that sort of thing from him, right? He was that type of player, too, and they went out and they got a few more of those types as well. Maybe not with the experience, but still those types of players.
And I guess that's the difference, right? Last year, it felt like it emanated from Alex Bregman's locker. Now it feels like there's several guys all over the room.
Yeah, it's lessons learned, and even the guy you brought in here, Caleb Durbin, we talk about him in a big trade to kind of solidify your infield. It's year 2 for him. Year 2 is when the league sort of makes some adjustments to you. It's time for you to make some adjustments. So year 2 can be challenging, and there's a lot of year 2 guys here. So, there's some inexperience, and hopefully you sort of pass the torch to a few of the older guys.
You bring up Durbin, and it's interesting to watch these infield workouts early on, because, everyone's been very tight-lipped about where Durbin's going to play. Where's Marcelo Meyer going to play? But so far, they've been playing one place. Yeah. Durbin's been at third base, Meyer's been at second base, and it seems like the longer that goes, the more likely they're going to stay there.
Yeah, and I was just peeking over my shoulder to make sure they're still there again, but this is early in camp, and part of it, and listen, I know Cora's saying they might move around a little bit. Durbin played more third base last year, so they want him to come into a new team and be comfortable in the position he was comfortable with, but it's been this way now all week, right? And so I don't know. I'm not so sure there is a question. Things could change, but it looks like Durbin will be at third. Marcelo will be at second. And it makes sense because I think the platoon at second base is a little bit easier maybe for this roster, given the personnel. I think Romy Gonzalez is more comfortable at second. Now, he's still nursing that shoulder, but eventually that's a guy you got to find at bats versus lefties. And I don't see Marcelo facing lefties too often.
And that's what's really interesting, right? Because you want to put the best players in the best position, understood. But seems to make a lot more sense with Durbin at third and a combination of those guys at second. Whereas if Durbin's at second base, I'm not sure who other than Meyer you've got over at third.
And that's where the depth comes into play, right? IKF's played a lot of third base. He's graded out real well there. Now, Romy Gonzalez, can he play third? Sure. But he's been a lot more comfortable on the right side of the infield than on the left side of the infield. So this is more of a roster sort of fit. When I look at Marcelo, I can't get over what I saw from him at third base. I think he's a left side infielder. I haven't seen Durbin at second. So I think Marcelo may be better placed at third. But with this team right now, as you mentioned, you got kids like you see Brandon Rogers out here, a Gold Glover. IKF can play second, Romy can play second, Sogard can play second, Monasterio can play second. Some of those guys, I'm not so sure about third base. So I think just fits better.
And talking to the coaches about Marcelo Meyer, they do believe he could handle either position equally fine. They think he's an infielder. Like, he's a shortstop, obviously, so they think he can move over to the right at third, move to left second. So it's not really about where Meyer best fits. It's about everything else you just said around him, because they think Meyer could handle either position.
Actually, when you got Duran, we talk about Duran, Story, and Meyer, and this is a compliment because you can't really say this about everybody. They can play a different position every night. Like, they're just infielders. You know, like, it's like, talk about like Bregman last year. God, I'm going to stop talking about his name, but he could have played second. He could have played shortstop. I think Meyer can do all three. I think Duran could do all three as well. So it's just a question of where they fit best with this team.
Last thing, we knew two things. Last year, we knew two things. We knew Trevor Story was the shortstop every day, and we knew that Rafi Devers really wanted to play third base.
Yeah.
That was pretty clear.
Didn't want to play first.
Didn't want to play first here. But you go on this year, you know Story's your shortstop. You know Contreras is your first baseman. That other two positions, once they settle on Duran, especially, do you think he's a guy who plays pretty much every day in one position? Or is he a guy who does bounce around?
No, he's an everyday player. Like, you know, when you got Caleb Duran, like a lot of people talking about his utility player. Well, no, he's not. Like, he's an everyday player who can play second or third, you know, so there's some flexibility there, but he is an everyday player. The platoon will come at second base, and maybe the only platoon, you know, in the starting lineup, which would be nice. So, but you just have depth. You know, I watch these guys take infield. It's a different level, you know, than the last few years. You always have your good gloves out there, but it's everybody now. Like, every backup out here is defensive-minded. Obviously, that was intentional, given how this team fielded the baseball last year, to have depth, to have glove-first guys or guys that can compete or been at this level. So it's just a lot more depth, and you feel a lot more comfortable with this infield.
Obviously, injuries could change this, but is IKF a guy that the plan would be he's playing 25-plus games at three different positions?
Yeah, maybe a little bit more, you know, because there's always going to be...
shortstop is the one of the three that you think you might not play a ton at.
Well, shortstop, there's going to be 10 or 15 games there, I believe, you know, because you want to keep Trevor Story healthy. And I think
once a week.
Yeah, once a week early on. And then what he does is, like, he makes you sleep well at night, knowing that if somebody goes down there, maybe it's a 15-day IL. If it's long-term, we make other adjustments, right? But if it's a short-term IL stint, he can go in at second. He can go in at shortstop and defensively keep you in the ball game, right? Offensively, maybe add you a little something, but he's a true utility role. When they signed him, everybody was losing their mind thinking this is the option. It was never the option. There was always one more move to make, but he's a utility guy, like a glove-first utility guy, and you haven't had that in a long, long time.
He's also a guy who, like Rob Refsnyder, has been through a lot.
Yeah.
Is a guy who's a character guy, a clubhouse guy, a good veteran presence. So even if he's not on the field, much like Rob Refsnyder, right? We talked last year, say his name again, Bregman and Story were your guys on the field, but Refsnyder was the guy sitting in the dugout who maybe could pass on a message or two. IKF's that kind of guy.
Not easy to do either. Like, to have like a guy who's been around this league, but a role player who only plays sparingly, to actually be a voice and be a leader on a team. Refsnyder, there's no question, grew into that. Like, when he first showed up, he was a journeyman trying to figure things out. He grew into that. IKF comes in already with that, right? So his experience around the game, I know people in Toronto absolutely love this guy. They love the leadership quality, so he's a nice addition.
Credited Brock Holt, who they played, played alongside in Texas, as a guy who really taught him about the preparation, the process. Like, it's one thing to say, okay, I'll play everywhere. It's another thing to, in August, still be working and being ready to play any one of those positions. Holt did it well. He said that's where he learned it from.
Well, you know, given what this team's failures were last year, you know, to have a guy that come in here, accept the utility role, which is different, right? He started early in his career. He signs with the Pirates as an everyday player in Pittsburgh, but he's not going to be in a contending team. And for one of his goals is to win the Gold Glove as a utility player, I think speaks a lot about the change in mindset of what this team is trying to accomplish this year. They got to catch the baseball.
All right, yesterday it was interesting watching Live BP because it was the first time we saw the ABS review system sort of come in. Almost set up that way. They had Jason Varitek behind the plate, intentionally messing up some calls so that the hitter could start to get a feel for, wait, that's a bad call. I can challenge this. It's going to be interesting watching this over the next 5 weeks or so, because you can't just let every guy have free reign on the ABS review. You can't tell every hitter, listen, if you think it's a ball, just say something. You got to really be intentional. You've talked about the importance of having that one more challenge in your hip pocket to keep the umpire fresh, but it's going to be really interesting to see how they bring this together, how they get this up and running.
I think early on, you're going to see teams maybe strategically use it differently, just to kind of let everybody try it. You know what I mean? Like, hey, maybe they may go into camp and just say, listen, you 2 or 3 guys can do it. You guys can't today. Next day, you guys can try it. And they kind of want to sit there and say, well, listen, if I'm Jarren Duran and I challenged 2 and I was wrong 2 times, they'd be like, okay, you know what? Maybe we're not going to let you do that for a while, right? So it's more of that. But I just love the focus. Like yesterday, we always talk about is plate discipline, knowing the strike zone. It's one of the biggest qualities. It's like the 6th tool now in the game of baseball. And to constantly focus on taking a pitch and looking up and seeing where it is. Yes, that was 1 inch or 2 inches off. Yes, that was a ball. Just confirms what you're thinking. It helps you understand the strike zone better. That's why I think this thing here, I tell you, I think it's going to help the offense. I think it's going to help the hitters a lot.
And important to remember as a fan, just 1 nano inch of a baseball clipping the zone is a strike.
Yeah.
It just has to touch one of the borders. It's a strike.
Yeah, and as we saw yesterday, everybody gets measured, right? So Aaron Judge, which I think is going to be interesting too, because Aaron Judge's strike zone is obviously bigger than Caleb Durbin's strike zone. So what do those measurements look like? Does Aaron Judge always have a pitch that's always been a ball up in the zone to him that is now in his strike zone a strike? So it'll be interesting. Much like the pitch clock. First couple months, you just sort of be all excited when they finally do it, or somebody challenges it, but it'll just end up being part of the game.
Well, it's important to note, and a lot of fans have asked this. Alex Cora's told me yesterday, your crouch, your stance doesn't affect it. It's your height. So you can get all down there all you want. That's still going to be a strike. If you go down, the strike's up here.
Which I tell you, if I was tall and I got down into my legs a little bit and no crouch, I wouldn't be happy about that because, I might be 6'5", but the way I stand, I might be the same height, as somebody that's behind me out here that's maybe 5'10". So
maybe not Caleb Durbin,
maybe
but
not
5'10".
That's why I left him alone. But still, the strike zone, it'll be interesting to see if some of the players, because there will be a few guys that are like that, very tall, but they get low into their legs, and that strike zone could be really high for them.
All right, we've talked about the infield quite a bit. We really haven't talked a lot about Wilson Contreras, and he really was positionally your key off-season acquisition. The bat's expected to sort of replace Alex Bregman. Take the over on how many times we say it each show. But this is a guy who, you've seen him 1 year at first base. You said, boy, he really made the adjustment. Now he's a first baseman, and you're penciling him in every day.
Defensively, he's the best defensive first baseman he's had since Mitch Moreland. 1 year into the league at first, he was already a +6 DRS. Defensive run saved. His range was a plus range at first base as well. Maybe year 2, there's an uptick in that. Maybe year 2 he gets more comfortable with that, because I think it did take him a while to get comfortable at first base. Offensively, he is the production that you got from Alex Bregman, right? He's going to be that guy that's going to hit you 20 plus, hopefully, drive in runs, be that middle of the order bat, but he doesn't give you the quality of bat that Bregman does. That's where Durbin comes into play, because there will be some swing and miss. There will be some chase, there will be some strikeout. Those numbers will be up there, but you needed to bring in a little bit of power. It was a career high, almost 20% pull side in the air. They think that plays at Fenway Park. Maybe that 20 to 24 home run range turns into 25 to 30, which obviously would be a nice addition.
He's the cleanup hitter?
Yes. Hitting fourth, and it was funny because right away Cora came out and just said he's going to hit fourth for me. And so with that, I was curious, and I looked, and last year, of course, when he hit fourth was where he was most comfortable and the highest numbers. So he's an impact guy, and I think that's where he hits.
That air pull side power that you talk about, they can project that easily now in Fenway. Again, that's what you've lacked, right? Before they signed Bregman, you and I sat there at Winter Weekend showing a highlight reel of one ball after another over the monster that Bregman hit. Contreras doesn't have as much experience there as Bregman had before he came, but it's pretty clear his swing is suited for Fenway Park.
Yeah, it is. And I'm always curious to see how that translates to first year at Fenway Park, because, at Fenway, you got guys in the mound who don't want you to pull the baseball, who want you to use the big part of the ballpark, and sometimes they pitch to the big part of the ballpark. So does that still translate to pulling the baseball at Fenway? Maybe at another ballpark where they might live. Like if you're in Baltimore, you could pitch a guy in and say, hit it as far as you want, right? So yeah, there might be some pull side power in the air there. But at Fenway Park, they may pitch you a little bit differently, but still, that is his swing. It's tailor-made for it, and hopefully he can get some off that monster and over it.
It's the Jim Rice philosophy, right?
Yeah.
Drive it to right center, but if they make a mistake out over the plate, clean it out and send it up over the wall.
Yeah, and that's why there's certain guys that you keep the ball low to right and hit the ball in the air left. And there's a lot of room to drop base hits in the right field. It's a big outfield. Right center field's big, but when you get a pitch to hit pull side, you want to get that barrel out, work on that swing, and take advantage.
Seems more and more as we progress here, Triston Casas will not be ready health-wise, right? Contreras allows you to slow it down, take your time, rehab. He's strong. He says he's ready when you talk to him, but there's no need at this point. My guess is you probably start him on a rehab technically, right? But it takes all the pressure off. Last 3 years, you've been sitting here in camp saying Triston Casas is our starting first baseman.
Yeah.
Now you can say, listen, don't put any pressure. Rehab. Take your time. Go down to Worcester. Mash the ball. We'll talk about it later.
You can rehab, and I believe still option him, too. I still think he has options, so you can spend some time down there, which he needs. He hasn't played in a year and a half. I mean, really, and it was a struggle last year. It wasn't like, oh, you had him for a month, he was good. No, he wasn't. Not last year. So he needs to go out and play. It's a different mindset that I have for Triston Casas. I think last year it was uncomfortable knowing that you were relying on him without much depth behind him and said, boy, do you need him to stay healthy, and that has been a huge concern in the past. This year it's completely different to me. This year he's a bonus. This year it's more of a positive of Triston Casas. So you can just let him go down to AAA, find that stroke. We know what the potential can be. And then, we know there's going to be probably a DH outfielder. Maybe an outfielder goes down, the DH spot opens up. Triston Casas all of a sudden is hitting bombs down in Worcester. Now you bring up a DH with the potential of 5, 6, 7 home runs in a month, right? Per month. So I still think he's going to help you an awful lot at some point, whether that's May, whether that's June, July, or whatever it is, and add some thump to this lineup.
So let's look at the big league roster in April. If he's in Worcester and Contreras needs a day off, who's the backup at first?
Well, he's first baseman. He's need a day off for. But, I mean, if he does, we got to see the health of, say, a guy like Romy Gonzalez. And I think IKF, that's why you're starting to see him. He's a true utility guy. You're starting to see him out here at first base. It'll be a one-day thing.
Right, just if you need to get Contreras off his feet, day game after night game, he's played 6 in a row, whatever.
IKF over there for the first time, everybody making a big deal of it. Here's the thing. You need coverage for the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season. By then, Romy Gonzalez is a guy that can play first base. Triston Casas will probably have a month at bats in him. We're sort of still treating first base like we have in the past. What's the depth? You don't need any depth. You got an everyday first baseman in Wilson Contreras.
You didn't talk about depth when you had Mitch Moreland. Back to your point. Moreland was going to play 150 games.
Since then, we have, because it's been Dahlbeck. It's been waiting for Casas. It's been, Dom Smith. It's been Toro. We're worried about depth. Stop worrying about depth. You got an everyday first baseman. As long as he stays healthy in the first month, you've got coverage there the rest of the year.
All right, we are here out on Field 3 where the infield's working out behind us, and we are rolling on. It is 3:10 to left, presented by your New England Ford dealers and F-Series, America's best-selling truck for 49 years, and the official truck of the Boston Red Sox. Lou and I are back after this. 3:10 to left is presented by your New England Ford dealers, who've been taking everyone out to the ball game at Fenway Park for decades. Catch Ford next time you're at Fenway, including in the Ford Clubhouse, a full-service bar perfect for bringing your lineup together and for recording our live edition of 3:10 to left. It's all brought to you by your New England Ford dealers and F-Series, America's best-selling trucks for 48 years and the official truck of the Boston Red Sox. All right, year two of Carlos Narvaez in a Red Sox uniform, acquired prior to last season in a trade from the Yankees, and then became the primary catcher. An injury to Connor Wong, broken pinky, early in the season kind of opened that door, and Narvaez took it from there, finished sixth in the Rookie of the Year voting, had a terrific season, and loves to golf, which means Lou Merloni was more than happy to catch up with him.
Right here with Red Sox catcher Carlos Narvaez. You got 1 year in the big leagues, right? You're coming up through the Yankee organization, you get an opportunity here in Boston. When the season was over, do you ever have that moment, like you just sit back and you're like, man, I'm a big leaguer, right? Had my first year in the big leagues.
Yeah, not only, thank you for this opportunity, but not only at the end of the season. I think throughout the season, there's some games like I realize I'm the guy that always, when I finish a game, I go home, I eat something, I just put highlights of the game, just review the game, how it was. If it's a good one, just enjoy. If it's a bad one, just realizing or, thinking what could be better. If I call a bad pitch, if I swung a bad pitch or whatever, either or. So after that, I think like when the first Yankee series with that homer, I just saw the highlights like, bro, this is real. Because you're just keep going, you know what I mean? Like every day you gotta show up. So sometimes becomes like you don't thinking too much. You just be ready to play. You don't think. Sometimes you need to take let me step back a little to see how everything is going. And a lot of moments like that during the season that I realize like this is real. And I just feel really proud of everything.
You know, your first half, outstanding. Obviously, talks about, is this guy an all-star catcher, right? And people say, well, the second half, sometimes that first year, rookie catcher, you can get beat up physically, you can get beat up mentally. Then you come to find out you have surgery in the offseason in your knee. As it turns out, it was actually in July when you hurt your knee. Take me through what that whole process was like when that happened.
Of course, just was playing normal. I was playing the 2020-2024 for full 2 years. So I played in the minors, play in Venezuela, play in spring training, play in the minors again, went up to the big leagues, went down, finished down, then went back to Venezuela. Just two full years. So I think that in season last year that got me a little. But yeah, that was in July in Kansas City series. Against Kansas City, before the West Coast trip.
Yeah.
That's when I felt it pretty bad. And that was like, I was really scared. I was crying, I called my dad, because I talked to the doctors, hey, you need it. I saw the MRI.
You need surgery?
Yes. So, I don't know, like I say, I was talking to you behind the scenes. Like, I never was a prospect in the minor league, so any pain was enough for me, so. Of course, it was painful at the moment, especially the day after that night game. But I don't know, something in my heart tell me that, bro, it's just only a few days and then you'll be fine. Of course, I gotta take care of this. I gotta take care of my body. But I think I can make it. So I talked with the trainers, talked with AC, bro, I think this could be, we can do it. So I just need you guys help me to this process. And the guys, trainers were amazing. Without them, I had surgery in July, and that's it. I probably came back at the end of the season, but those guys did an amazing job every day. That was like last 2.5 months. I was everyday work in the training room, in the gym, just to take care of my knee and my body. And it wasn't painful every game. It was like on and off. I had 4 games in a row without any pain, and then the 5th game I felt something. Yeah. It was in certain move that I felt it, but I think, the guys did an amazing job. I just really thankful for what they did for me.
There's a long way to the finish line in July.
Yeah.
We're not talking about August, get me through September. And given what you do, you need your legs to hit, right? So that's going to affect your hitting and catching. Do you feel like it took something from you? Offensively, the numbers just slipped in that second half, but do you feel like defensively it was affecting you as well at times?
A little bit, a limited. Of course, a lot of things. You see, I was talking with AC a couple of days ago that my first game of the year, I did a pickoff to first base. That was really like quick or whatever. And then I didn't do that because I was a little, not afraid, but like limit my move.
Yeah.
Because any move that I did probably felt it or whatever. So I just minimized something, but I just really focused on catch and call the game. That was my whole focus, especially second half. Of course, I wanted to hit. I'm not happy how the last couple months went down my hitting because I want to contribute my team both ways. I think I can do it. So, of course, like, I don't know. It was a little bit, I was a little anxious. Like, of course, I knew I had something in there. So, I don't know. It was a little, my mindset got me a little bit on hitting side. So, last Monday, September, especially in that push to make the playoff, I just focused on catch.
Yeah.
Like, literally, that was my only goal. If I hit, of course, like, key moments that, okay, my team needs a fly ball or whatever, or contact, whatever. But I really focus on catch, especially at the end. Like I say, I'm not happy because first of all, we didn't finish the job, and secondly, I don't know, that got me a little bit on my mind hitting.
Yeah. So, you're first off, the Red Sox fans absolutely loved what they saw from you last year, and finding out you played half the year and probably needing surgery makes them probably love you even more. But you were an interesting guy, man. I got to say, like the leadership. I think the composure, the professionalism of which you bring as a rookie, you don't really see that in that position. I think it's special. But tell me about, you picked up golf, right, a few years back. How long have you been golfing now?
Like 6 years.
Why did you do that? Why did you start playing golf?
First of all, I had big family members, and all of us play. My dad plays really good golf. He's like handicap 9, 10, so he plays good. So every time in the off season, we always hang around and play. And my cousin, who was on the big league at the moment, he always told me, like, bro, you gotta like play golf because that's the best connection, you and the pitchers, because pitchers are the guys that most play golf. They got more free time. Yeah, they have more free time. The guys, we were in a road trip. We got I remember we were in Toronto like 1 a.m. and Weiser came to me like, "Oh, you want to play tomorrow?" "Yeah, what time?" 8 a.m. Like, oh. You know what I mean? Like, but that's something that I mean, the guys always play, you know. So that's a really connection on them. Like, I always say, like, when you want to connect with your pitcher, it's not only in the clubhouse, it's not only in the bullpen, it's not only in the game, it's behind the scenes. You know what I mean? Like, every trip, every dinner, golfing, just free time, like, just talking about, and you able to see how's the personality. And that's when you're gonna approach them. Like, if I need to be tough on him, if I need to be softer or whatever, that's when you know the person. Because the key moment when it's loud, when it's like what I mean,
game
like,
time.
Exactly. You need something specific. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's when you connect those pieces outside the field, it's more easy to do.
So obviously, you guys are you're talking trash on the golf course too, because you're trying to beat each other. But you're having those conversations when you meet a new pitcher, and he's saying, "Listen, against righties, this is what I like to do. Against lefties," are you actually talking shop on the golf course with them too? Probably, or are you just getting to know their personality?
To be honest, it's a little more like outside baseball, just talking about other stuff. But of course, we always, talking about certain things, like about, bro, you remember that pitch, whatever, when I did, like, against anybody, you know? Yeah. So it's a little more outside baseball field, but of course, you talk a little bit about what happened in the past.
So how's the knee now? How you feeling?
It's awesome, bro. It's awesome. It was a really good off-season. A little weird for me because the previous off-season, like I said, I was playing, never stopped. So I was on my home, you know what I mean? Like, really, it got me a little bit to keep it going. I started running like late November, like fully. So I don't know, it was a weird, like completely new for me. But you know, I'm more than ready. I feel really powerful. I gotta go down a little, like 5 pounds, but I was expecting something like that because, okay, I just thought, like, let me get muscles, let me get a little big, and of course I'm probably gonna be a little weighted. But as soon as everything started, like working out every day, it goes down. I'm feeling way more better shape now.
Yeah. Well, you catchers, you'll drop 5 pounds in a couple weeks down there in Florida, so you're good. Appreciate the time. Carlos, good luck to you this year.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Always see you guys around, so happy to have good people around.
All right. Good luck.
Thank you, bro.
Okay, buddy.
So you got to be a catcher if you want to lose 5 pounds down here in Florida. I get it now. It's easy. There's a lot to unpack there. Let's begin with the catching. And we talk about leadership, we talk about golf, but let's begin with what he did last year as a catcher. Gold Glove finalist, just a third catcher in Red Sox history with 15 homers, 50 RBI.
Yeah.
Did it at the plate. Obviously, the knee impacted that second half of the season, but even with that, the numbers were impressive.
Yeah, and the numbers did drop off defensively in the second half. I mean, he was elite. He was 1 or 2 pretty much in every metric: framing, blocking, throwing. When you have a tear in your meniscus, it's going to affect how you move behind the plate. So I think that did play a role in it. So you look at his first half, 273, right? 8 home runs, one of the elite catchers in the game. That's who he is. It was impressive, not just on the field. You mentioned it, the leadership quality, how he took command of this rotation. There was some veteran guys in this. There was a lot of talent in this rotation, and it just seemed like he was under control the entire time. So it was very impressive.
How many times did you hear a Crochet, a Giolito, somebody say, what a job he did calling the game behind the plate? And he's a veteran guy.
The minute the game was over, if the gem was, if it was there, they're talking about Narvi behind the plate, in the game that he called. So this is a guy, I think this is one position I think is sneaky. Like, people don't talk about offense, where's it going to come from? The catching position's where it's going to come from. You had one catcher that had one knee for half the season, and your backup catcher, who everybody was killing all year offensively, didn't have either hand, to hit with. So when you're talking about, they were probably 10th in the American League in production, 223 average, 13 home runs. They're going to hit better than that. Both these guys have showed it in the first half with Narvaez and 2024 with Wong.
What do you think an ideal split is, games played? Again, both healthy all year. What would you like to see out of the split between Narvaez and Wong?
I think early on you're going to see like a 2-1, and then it turns into maybe a 3-1, and then it determines how guys are doing. We've seen that before. I mean, Wong was a starter last year. He struggled out of the gate. Narvaez ends up taking over. The good part about it is that this is a way to keep everybody fresh. This is a way to keep everybody healthy. I mean, Wong can catch a couple times a week, 3 times a week. Narvi 3 or 4 times, whatever. If one guy is hot, you run him out there and you keep letting him play because he's swinging it. So I think they're in a good spot with their catchers.
In full disclosure, you were supposed to do that interview on the golf course.
Yeah.
But the catcher's workload, I mean, literally, you talk about the guys here at spring training who have a lot to do. It's the catcher, right? You got to deal with all the pitchers, learn the new pitchers. He couldn't do it. You lost out on a free round. But it's serious for this guy. Like, he played in front of me in the David Ortiz tournament over at PGA National this fall, and the guy can hit the ball.
Yeah, and I just thought it was interesting, just the reasons why he likes doing it, and it just speaks to who he is and the leader that he is. The pitchers like to go out and play golf, so he wants to get to know them. They're not necessarily talking shop. It's talking about the families, and it's building that bond. It's building that teammates, what you want to see out of guys, and there's a trust factor. The pitcher, his money is going to be determined by the outcome. The guy behind the plate has a lot to do with his money and his career and his performance. There needs to be a trust. No, trust me, this is the pitch. This is the pitch, right? Come on, and then, okay, I'm in. You need conviction. You need trust, and that helps build that.
It's amazing how far it's come in a year. We didn't know anything about him. He was one of several guys battling for a spot on this team. Obviously won out that job. We knew by midway through camp it looked like this was going to be the guy. And then the injury to Wong opened the door.
Yeah.
Right? Without that, you don't know how it would have played out. Wong was never right. You mentioned the hands. He was dealing with both. Now both are good, so he should be back to the guy who was such a good hitter back in 2024. But give Narvaez a lot of credit. Like, nothing's handed to you. He had an opportunity. He went out there and took it.
He wasn't swinging the bat well either, in the month of April, until Wong had gotten hurt. And then all of a sudden now, the more at-bats you get, the more comfortable you feel in the box. And that's kind of, because like the first 3 weeks, you weren't getting really anything from either of your catcher. But again, like you said, the opportunity was there. That's when he just took off, and you needed it.
All right. We are going to shift to the outfield now. We haven't talked about the outfield much. We talked to Jarren Duran yesterday, and you'll get to hear some of that. And we'll talk about, 6 outfielders who are leaving for the World Baseball Classic. It's going to be a good spring for Christian Campbell, as we keep saying. There's going to be some guys who get a lot of at-bats. You'll hear from Jarren Duran as we continue on 310 to left, presented by New England Ford Dealers after this.
back to the funk.
Big news yesterday was Roman Anthony being named to the Team USA World Baseball squad. One guy who knows all about that experience is Jarren Duran. He's going back to the World Baseball Classic for the second consecutive tournament, representing Team Mexico. Very excited about the opportunity and the honor and what it means to him. Despite all the trade rumors, he's one of 4 outfielders who are back, 5 if you want to include Yoshida, and if you include Nate Eaton, there's 6 outfielders going to the World Baseball Classic. Jarren Duran sat down with us yesterday on Red Sox in Fort Myers. Here's what he had to say. Garrett Crochet, Peyton Tolley, both throwing a couple innings of live BP. That was the big news today, which isn't great news for all the lefties who got to go out there and be part of it, like Jarren Duran, who joins us now. Welcome to spring training, everybody. Get in there, kid.
Yeah, here we go.
Hey, we talked a lot today about the WBC because Roman Anthony officially going to Team USA. You're going back and will represent Team Mexico for the second straight WBC. Talk a little about the honor, your heritage, and what that tournament means. Like, you know, it's kind of a little bit like an all-star game, right? You go there and you're surrounded by the best in the game, but it's more than just a game or two, a day, an exhibition. This is something you guys are competing to win something.
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, I mean, it's a huge honor for me to be able to go out there and represent my father. You know, I feel like I don't get to do that much this day and age, but it's going to be a huge honor for me. But honestly, I think the WBC is huge. I mean, it's a lot of chance for people to represent where they're from. You know, we got a lot of the Dominicans, a lot of Latin guys that like they play over in the States, and like this gives them the opportunity to play over in the States and represent where they're from. So that's super cool for them.
So you come into this year a little different. A couple guys that maybe you lean on for leadership, guys like Breggy, guys like Ref Schneider, they are gone. You're sort of at that stage in your career where it's like your turn now. Do you sort of feel that coming into camp, like a veteran out there with some of these kids?
Yeah, sometimes I do. I mean, I know the Unk jokes going around with Trevor Story. Yeah. I mean, Roman hit me with it the other day. I was like, dude, I'm not 30 yet.
He called you Unk?
Yeah, because I'm 29, about to be 30, and he was already hitting with me when we were running bases the other day. I'm like, dude, it's too early for that. Cut me some slack. So
I'm just going to start with the first half of his question. You come into camp. Like, we were all told there's too many outfielders. They won't all be back next year. I know you don't get caught up in that because your name's been in this for a few years, right? Like, when you're a good player, your name's going to be thrown around out there. Anything wrong with having a lot of good outfielders? Like, there was almost a feeling, well, I mean, you can't have 4 really good outfielders coming into camp. Clearly you can.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, it's just more depth in the lineup, more opportunities for guys to come in there, pinch hit opportunities. We got a lot of righties, lefties, guys with great arms. I mean, Willie's got 2 gold gloves, Rafa's got 1, and we got a bunch of studs out there. We got Roman, who plays really good defense, and he can swing it. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with having a bunch of good outfielders.
Yeah, that's one of the things people are talking about in the offseason, too. And even the front office came out talking about wanting more power, right? Needing more power in this lineup. Contreras is here. Duran, different type of player, right? Good defensively, he can run the bases. That's what it seems like it's turning to, the athleticism. You look at your team up and down this lineup, maybe the 40 home run power guy might not be here, but the athleticism, that carries you, doesn't it, for 162?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're going to wear a lot of teams down with the way we run the bases and steal and stuff like that. I think that's going to contribute to a good, long season is being able to take the extra 90. I feel like we have a bunch of guys that are going to want to push the envelope like that, and I feel like that's going to wear on some teams later in the season.
Yeah.
After game 2, you said it's 100% on me. Nobody is as tough a critic on you as you are yourself. How tough was this offseason to put the end behind you? No matter what happened during the season, it was a disappointing ending. Was it a little more of a challenge for you to be able to get beyond it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I kind of shut myself down a little bit, kind of got away from everything, and just kind of turned my phone off and just kind of tried to self-reflect on what happened. And, you know, I own it. You know, it was on me, but, you know, it's new year, new spring training, and it's just time to move on now.
You look at the arms that you guys brought in here, right? You got Garrett Crochet on top, and Gio and Bayo were fantastic last year, but now it just keeps going, right? Gray, yeah. Suarez, you got Oviedo, the kids, Cutter Crawford's back. Like that, you have to know that you got a pretty special team when you're going to see one out every 5 days. It could be anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like TC said, there's too many outfielders. I feel we got a lot of really good arms right now. So that's going to be a tough decision for them to do. But I feel like we have so many good arms. It's going to be awesome to see these guys go out there and compete because everybody's going to want that job. And only so many guys can have it, but it's going to be sick to see everybody compete. And we already know that it's a long 162, so some of those are going to come up later in the season or something like that and do some damage for us.
Outfield depth is important. It's going to be really important in this camp because 6 of you are going to be gone to the WBC. So it's a little strange, isn't it? Like, you've been through this personally, but you guys will be here for a week, 10 days of games. Then you won't really be together probably as a unit till those last few days of spring training.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy when I think about it. Like, who's going to be left for Huddy to pick on? You know, we're not going to be there, so we're actually going to get a little break from Huddy. So, but
KC the whole time.
KC the whole time. You know, he's going to be grinding with Huddy. But yeah, it's going to be crazy to see playing against those guys on the other side of the field if I get a chance to play against them.
So you guys took live BP today, and it wasn't velocities; it was just the strike zone. You know, obviously, the ABS is coming in. You have challenge system. Is there going to be an adjustment to that? Do you think it's going to help, kind of just knowing the zone? Looks like you guys are already trying to work on it already.
Yeah, Tech was back there making calls today. I actually had my first ever challenge successful. You know, one of Crochet's, I think, fastballs or cutters away, and I actually got the right call, so I was pumped about that. First time ever using it. But it was actually really cool today to see Tech calling it live and then giving us the opportunity to challenge it if we thought it was a ball or not. He even called some outlandish ones, strikes,
I saw a couple,
just to get us to challenge. So I love that out of him. Tech's always super smart, thinking stuff like that for us to do. So it was a good fun one today.
Has AC talked to you guys yet about what the philosophy is going to be going in? Because I mean, you can blow those up real quick. Yeah, leadoff guy, you can burn them both, and now you're done for the day. You got to be pretty careful.
We haven't really talked strategy like that. I haven't heard anything, but I know during the season I'll probably be the guy that doesn't like to challenge a lot because I don't want to burn it for the team unless it's like an outlandish ball. But yeah, I haven't heard any strategies on it yet.
162 the goal again for you?
Of course, every year.
All right.
How good can this team be? It's a different team, right?
Yeah.
We talked about it. The defense, I feel like the baseball IQ is up the floor of it, right? Like, there's a lot of guys in there who are kind of baseball rats, which is kind of the mold you're cut from.
Yeah.
Has it been a fun group to be around early on?
It's been a really fun group to be around. I mean, it's felt like I've known these guys for a while. Like Durbin coming in here, he's a super cool guy. Like, just talking with them and chatting it with them, like, they are baseball rats. And I feel like that's going to lead to, like, a really, really good year because we're going to have that baseball IQ, be able to push the envelope, cause some havoc on the bases, especially we got some speed. So it's going to be super fun.
And pitching obviously wins. How good is this rotation?
This rotation is really good. I think it's going to be really good. I think it's going to be great. I mean, every day I watch these guys in the bullpen, I'm like, I just don't get how they do it. My arm would fall off after 2 pitches.
You really going to turn 30 this season?
Yes, TC, I am.
How did that happen? Like,
I don't know.
As an old guy watching you, listen,
I don't feel 30. I don't act 30.
Wow.
That's for
you don't
sure.
act.
I don't act 30.
You don't act 30. Listen, I got no place to yell about age, okay? But like, watch your whole career, and always think of you that young guy because of the way you play, with the energy you play. And all of a sudden, as we talk about leadership, they're like some of the young guys are stepping in, like Jarren Duran, and like you look up the age, like it's gonna be 30.
I know.
You don't feel it though, do you?
I don't. No. Sometimes I look around and realize that I am one of the older guys around. And I'm like, dang, this sucks.
I want to ask you finally, you got a taste of that playoffs. What does that mean to you coming into this season? Like, knowing what that was like and what it could be if you go further.
I think the biggest thing is now we know what it takes to get there. Like, I think that's a big thing for a lot of teams. It's like, I feel like getting there is the hardest part. And then once you get there and you get a taste of it, you're like, all right, now I know how to get there. Because before it felt like it was so far away. Like, we would, like, for me, it was like, this is a grind to get there. And then once we got there, it's like, all right, now what I take, it really takes 162. Mm-hmm. Like, when people are like, oh, they should cut baseball down, blah, 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 this and that, I'm like, it really takes 162 when you really break it down. Like, some teams come alive in the second half, and it's like, now they make the playoffs over a team that was hot in the first half. So it's going to be fun. I'm excited.
Can't wait. Looking forward to it. Good luck at the WBC.
Thank you.
I think on that last point there, Jarren Duran speaks for a lot of these guys. A lot of these guys have never been to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Right? And now you fully understand it's not just about getting there and ready. It's understanding how you will feel. How are you playing at the end of September? And how do you find that next level to make October a lasting event, not 3 games and out?
That's why it was so important to get there. You know, I always felt like last year was sort of like the 2016 version of the 18 team, right? You got to get there after a couple tough years. And like he was saying, like, sort of when you sit back and say, okay, this is what it takes, 162. Like, it's truly right down to the end. You know, it's going to come down to the last week, clinching a playoff spot. You brought up Cleveland, you know, and the run that they made as well. And so it's just a good reminder that season isn't won and lost in April or May or June. You just go out there and keep grinding through the process and that experience and that feeling of being eliminated. So I just think it was a very important year for that team. They now know what it takes, and now it's time to take the step forward.
That's probably an especially important lesson for Jarren Duran, who beats himself up.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, if you struggle in May, you lose a few games in April, that's not the end of the world. I think he's learning that now.
Yeah, and that's baseball players are just, this is how it works. You know, your entire career come up through the minors, you know if there's a bad April, there's a good May right around the corner. People who maybe don't experience that life don't understand that as much. I think Trevor Story's the perfect example, right? The month of May into June. So there's going to be ups and downs, but I think if you know, you look at Duran, like it wasn't his best year, obviously. But still having like a 4.7 WAR, 4.9 WAR, whatever it was for a what so-called a down year, it just kind of tells you the talent that he is. I just think their outfield is fantastic, no matter who's out there.
You asked him if the goal was 162. His guy wants to play every day. It's a little more crowded out there now.
Yeah.
Roman Anthony factors into this. DH factors into this. It'll be tougher for him to get 150 plus this year.
Well, that's the other part too of getting to that final season. Like I think that's a lesson that maybe Trevor Story learned in the month of September, right? And how he felt in that month and how he played defense and his legs were tired. A lot of these guys get into the postseason. Well, you're Abreu. I need to be healthy this time. And Roman Anthony, I need to be healthy this time. So when I do pull you out of the lineup in April, May, June, whatever it may be, before an off day to give you a couple days, there's more of an understanding because you saw what the finish line looked like. You saw what you need to be in October and down the stretch in those important games. So I don't see 162 really for anybody. So if you could pencil in 140, 145 for a lot of these guys, that's going to be a big number.
Cedar Rafael is the everyday center fielder, but every day doesn't have to mean every day.
Correct. Could
Duran be over in center field giving Rafael a break here and there?
I fully expect that number not to be 156, 57 for Cedar. We've seen it before. He's not the biggest guy in the world. Comes in every year trying to add a little bit of muscle, but knowing what it takes to get through a full season, if that number, again, is in that 145 range, so be it. You know, he is hot and cold. So during that cold stretch, maybe you give him 3 days. Take a day off from hitting. Let's get back into the cage. Let's try to find this thing. Because you know you got a guy in Jarren Duran who can play center field for the next 3 days. You don't really skip a beat, right? So I think that's going to be important to have this depth.
Barring an injury or two, is Masataka Yoshida playing the outfield at all?
No, I don't see why you would put him out there, because you just defensively, you have better options. If anything, it would be, hey, we're going to give Cedar the day off. Duran, you're in center. This is where Yoshida gets in play. Now, we'll see how this whole thing unfolds with Masa. It's crowded. You don't know and see what the fit is. I still believe he's a good hitter. And until you have a better left-handed bat off the option, off the bench rather, I don't know why you would ever let him go until it gets uncomfortable, until you just need that roster spot, and then we'll see what happens.
Until Anthony came up last year, Rob Refsnyder was that extra outfielder.
Yeah.
Now you're really talking about who's the fifth outfielder. It sounds like Nate Eaton will be able to do some of the things you use Refsnyder for.
Yeah, and I think Roman will be out there every day, show what he could do against lefties. Willier's going to play, I would say, every day against lefties. That doesn't mean against every single lefty. There'll still be some lefties out there where they can just look at heat maps. This is how they do it. This is where this guy's a strength. It just happens to match up with Abreu's weakness. Well, we're going to give you that day off. And Nate Eaton's going to fall into that role. And I know people feel like that's a huge drop-off from a guy like Rob Refsnyder, but you got to remember what Ref was when he first showed up here. He was not a left-handed killer. He was a journeyman trying to figure out where he fits. He played into that role, and I think Nate Eaton brings you a little more athleticism. He gives you a stolen base off the bench now that you've lost David Hamilton, and he brings you a plus defender in the outfield.
We joke about Christian Campbell playing a lot here at spring training, but they want him in the outfield. That means he's probably going to be in Worcester.
Yeah, he is, because he's got to get back to where he was. Now, the work ethic's never in question. I think he needs to get comfortable. It's so hard when you come up as a young kid. And we saw this for years with some of these guys in the minor leagues, whether it was an Emmanuel Valdez, right? When you come up and you're bat first and bat only, if you're not swinging the bat, you are killing me defensively, right? You're not helping us win. So it's just as important for, I think, Christian Campbell to find a position, I think that's left field, where he is league average. Where if the bat doesn't come for a week, he's not going to kill me out there, right? He's going to make all the plays. So he's made some adjustments offensively that I think will work. He's really simplified some things, but hasn't lost the thunder in his hands. So I think he's going to swing it here in camp. People might get overexcited, but he just needs some little bit of time to figure it out defensively and get comfortable.
All right, a lot of outfielders, no doubt about that. We'll take a break, come back, wrap things up from Fort Myers on this live edition of 310 to Left, presented by New England Ford Dealers. 310 to Left is presented by your New England Ford Dealers, who've been taking everyone out to the ball game at Fenway Park for decades. Catch Ford next time you're at Fenway, including in the Ford Clubhouse, a full-service bar perfect for bringing your lineup together and for recording our live edition of 310 to Left. It's all brought to you by your New England Ford Dealers and F-Series, America's best-selling trucks for 48 years and the official truck of the Boston Red Sox. There's the de facto captain of the infield, Trevor Story. He's coming off a season of which he returned to the form he showed with Colorado. Really a kind of season that puts him back on the map as one of the best shortstops in the American League. Looking to build off that and talking about it with us tonight. It's Red Sox from Fort Myers, presented by Mass Mutual. Trevor Story will sit down and talk about last year, the playoffs, and trying to go even further here in 2026. Wrapping up 310 to Left here. Should note, yes, it's a small blip on the radar of spring training, but a huge day for one guy. Tanner Houck threw yesterday. And if you look at it chronologically, that's probably the midway point of the entire process.
Yeah.
But to be able to go out and throw again, for these guys who go through Tommy John, it is a massive step forward.
Yeah, and he had that hybrid, right? That hybrid Tommy John, Giolito, Whitlock both have. Now,
internal brace.
Yeah, it's one of those things where optimistically you sit there and say, okay, he can help you out down the stretch. We've been there before, right? And that is optimistic. That is no bumps in the road whatsoever. You know, can he help you in August? Can he help you in September? I think the mentality has to be that this is a guy that's preparing to throw the baseball in 2027, right? And then you figure out where that role is. But obviously you got to continue the rehab. He'll be throwing the baseball at some point this summer in the rehab assignment. The question is, not just is he back, but what's the quality like, right? Because you can't expect, oh, he's going to come back in September, he's going to have that huge role in that bullpen. Well, what's the stuff going to look like? What's the control going to look like? So it's a big year for him. You should be motivated to come back, I think. Why not? You're rehabbing, but at the same point, you count on him probably next year.
Always a cautionary tale, though, how quickly things can change.
Yeah.
Sitting here 1 year ago today, you're talking about him as a number 2, number 3 coming off an all-star season.
Yeah, and then it just never got right. Even here at camp, it just didn't seem right. And then early in the year, the velocity was there, but the location was awful. You know, they didn't have that normal bite on some of those breaking pitches. And then you find out that it's an elbow injury. That's usually the first sign that things are going a little haywire for a guy. So hopefully he gets back. Hopefully everything goes smooth, and we get to see him on the mound.
All right, it's Spring Training 2026 here in Fort Myers, and it rolls on until the first game, the preseason game against Northeastern here at the ballpark, JetBlue Park, on Friday. That game, of course, coming your way on Nesson at 1 o'clock. I think.
I believe so.
I believe it's 1 o'clock. And then Grapefruit League beginning on Saturday across town over Minnesota. We are back in action on Sunday, bringing the game against the American League champs, Toronto Blue Jays, rolling into town. We'll be back tonight with Red Sox in Fort Myers. Join us then. Trevor Story will be sitting down with us for Lou and our entire crew here in Florida. I'm Tom Caron. Thanks for watching. 310 to left, presented by your New England Ford Dealers and F-Series, America's best-selling truck for 49 years.